Ben Scofield. I work for the Coeur tribe. I've had the privilege of working for the tribe for going on 13 years now. Just kind of crazy. I guess time flies when you're having fun, right? I work in the water resources program. Um, and so today I was invited to talk about our watercraft cleaning station that we have out on Coeur d'Alene Lake. However, prior to talking about this, I'd like to emphasize some of the challenges that we've experienced in controlling just one aquatic invasive species in particular. And I'm hoping that recognition of some of these challenges will be motivating to other invasive species programs to incorporate more proactive measures. So I'd argue that an ounce of prevention could be worth, let's see, let's make sure I can advance stuff. Okay, there we go. So an ounce of prevention is worth much, much more than, say, a pound of cure. All right, so let's first get situated with the landscape. Here's the Coeur d'Alene tribe's Aboriginal territory, and their current reservation boundary is here in Idaho. If we zoom in, here's Coeur d'Alene Lake, and as you can see, the lake has always been central to their territory. It's also central in their culture. It provides access to game, fish, edible plants, and many other things necessary for sustaining life. The lake is also important part of the economy in this area, being situated between Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. This urban suburban corridor has grown a lot recently, and I think as of the last census, we had about 770,000 people living here. The lake serves lots of uses, including power generation, flood control, water storage, and recreation, and of course, it's habitat to all sorts of life. All right, so I mentioned one particular invasive species, and that's what we're looking at here. This is Eurasian water milfoil, and it can be identified by its finely divided leaves. It's not native to North America, but it's been introduced to many lakes and rivers across the continent. When it grows like in this picture here, this is when it becomes, I guess, a problem. And it can interfere with recreation, and it can also displace native vegetation by competing for resources such as light, etc. So our Eurasian water milfoil treatment program began in 2006, and we've actually had annual treatment since then. So we're pushing 20 years in age for our control program. Needless to say that this plant is very persistent once it's been established. Okay, so one of the problems with treating Eurasian water milfoil is that it typically doesn't grow in isolation. It's usually mixed amongst native plants, which all have varying sensitivities to the different treatment options. And invariably, there's some amount of collateral damage to native plants next to milfoil that's being treated. So the pros and cons of doing treatments in natural systems need to be carefully considered, given all the benefits that native plants provide. And that's what's illustrated in this figure. So aquatic plants, they stabilize the lake bed. During the growing season, they can lock up nutrients. And of course, their structure and habitat and food for all sorts of fish, wildlife, and other creatures. So some of these native plants growing in close proximity to milfoil are culturally significant. These are leaves of the water potato plant. They have that distinctive arrow-shaped leaf, and the tribe harvests water potato in the fall. They harvest the tubers or the roots. And traditionally, this was a very important carbohydrate source for the tribe, especially in the winter. There's even a holiday in October to commemorate its harvest, as it was the last root harvested for the year prior to winter. Here's another culturally important plant. This is soft-stem bulrush, which also grows in the shallows. And it's a traditional building material used in shelters, mats, raft, and I'm sure other things. Soft-stem bulrush can also grow in waters directly adjacent to Eurasian water milfoil. So again, extra care is needed when implementing treatments in natural systems. So several years ago, we did a review of our milfoil program. And as part of that review, I came across this figure from the paper listed at the top of the slide. And it shows the likelihood of eradicating an invasive plant given the size of the infestation upon first detection. And the data in this figure come from work done in California on several terrestrial weeds and a couple aquatic ones. So on the horizontal axis, it shows the initial infestation size in acres. And notice this is a log scale. And then on the vertical axis, it shows the likelihood of eradication. And so as you can see, the chances of eradication decline significantly once the initial patch size gets to be about bigger than half an acre, which isn't very big when you consider the various invasive species out there. So conversely, the amount of effort needed to reach eradication drastically increases as the size of the infestation gets bigger. So on the secondary vertical axis here in purple, this shows total work hours expended to reach eradication. And as you can see, once your initial infestation gets to be about bigger than 100 acres, you can expect to have a lot of work cut out for you if eradication is the goal. So if we plot the initial size of the Coeur d'Alene Lake milfoil infestation that we had on the southern end of the lake from 2004 was about 1,500 acres. You can see why we still have milfoil today, even after nearly 20 years of working on it. So given this review and the mixed treatment results, which is a whole other talk, the goals of our control program have evolved over time. Initially, it started as an eradication program, and then now it's more of a containment situation. So, is there any hope against the invasive hordes? Well, I'd argue if you don't have a particular invasive in your area of jurisdiction, then I'd argue there's no time like the present to invest in prevention measures. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but given the challenges that we and others have experienced with established invasives, I hope you can understand why prevention is so critical. All right, so there are many ways to promote awareness and prevention, but I'd like to focus on signage and watercraft hygiene. And firstly, I'm not an expert on this, so please check out these papers for proper treatments on the subject. Those citations in the lower right-hand part of the slide there, I used those to kind of come up with some of these. Well, these pictures are from these papers, so I just wanted to recognize those. So these papers, they highlight the costs and strengths will vary widely with approach, and that the best approach will be very site dependent and also dependent on resources available. So on the inexpensive end of the spectrum, there are plain signs like this sign on the left that can be placed at boat launches and other access points to the water. You can even hang cleaning tools from them. I thought that's kind of a nice idea. Intermediate in cost, there's waterless cleaning systems that you can buy or you can even make. What's nice about these is they're self-service, but I guess on the downside is they don't offer true quote-unquote decontamination. They're more seen as a cleaning aid, and maybe it's like a really fancy sign that gets people's attention. To do real decontamination, you need a hot wash system. On the downside, these are expensive because they require staffing and specialized equipment, but they're the current gold standard for doing like quote unquote true decontamination, where decontamination requires trained staff using pressurized hot water, remove debris and plants and whatever else might be on the watercraft. And I gather that to kill dracenid mussels, it takes about 140-degree water. So it's pretty hot, so there's a liability. You couldn't have one of these systems just free to use to the public for liability reasons. And then the last thing that I came across were these dip tanks. I think these are relatively new. I believe I think they're expensive too, but these can be good for more complicated boats, especially things with like ballast tanks. So it's like a hot water tank, and you dip the whole trailer and boat into this, and then you can circulate the hot water into all the hard places to reach. So this could be a good option if you have a lot of surf boats out there. Okay, so through a BIA invasive species grant, we secured funding for a CD3 waterless cleaning station. Thank you, BIA and Mr. Compton. We chose to go with a solar powered trailer station. So this allowed us to not be limited by power availability. And we wanted to move it around and test different size sites to try to maximize its use. So last year was the first season that we had it out, and we placed it at the Chocolate Lake Boat Launch, which is down on the south end of Coeur d'Alene. So the station, it has a variety of cleaning tools. It has instructions on how to use those tools, and it has some aquatic invasive species language or I guess signage. And you can customize whatever you want to put on these, which is a nice feature. The station is, of course, free for anybody you use. Delivered, the unit cost $45K. It came with some extra tools and a 1-year subscription, and that subscription is for like online monitoring. So it gives you kind of real-time feedback on use, and it'll give you maintenance alerts, like if something breaks or if, say, the vacuum tank fills up. So we're hoping that this station helps us boost our prevention efforts at boat launches, which so far had only consisted of some of the simple signage like this here. All right, so here's a generic image of the cleaning station that we got without any of the wrapping. And again, what's nice about this is it records use, and it can send you maintenance alerts about when maintenance is needed, and this is by cellular connection with the internet. So this finally gives us a way to kind of gauge use and engagement, which was really difficult to do, I guess, for like plain old signs. So last year we recorded about 228 cleaning sessions total for the season. It seemed like the air blower tool was the most popular tool. On this figure here, on the horizontal, we have time. And then on the vertical, this is just cumulative tool use over the season. And you can kind of see how it stair steps up. Whenever it steps up, that's usually a weekend or it's a holiday, as you'd expect. There's more boat traffic out and about on the weekends. The scrub brush was the least used tool, probably because it's a waterless system. And then the plug wrench, the grabber tool, and the vacuum all had kind of intermediate levels of use. Oops, I'm gonna go back, sorry. So luckily, we experienced no vandalism of the tools or the unit. And the only maintenance that it required was we had to remove a yellow jacket's nest that they had built a nest in one of the aluminum tubes that support the solar panel. We may need to like plug those somehow so that doesn't happen again. So the solar panels kept the station batteries charged all season, so that was nice. They are, of course, brand new batteries, so maybe that'll change as the batteries age. And the vacuum tank, we didn't have to drain it at all. I guess it just wasn't used enough. So we're planning to place the station at the same site again this year. just hoping to get it in a little earlier and then maybe pull it out later, of course, weather permitting. Okay, and then this is my summary slide here. So given the difficulties of dealing with an invasive species that's been established, I'd argue that allocating resources towards awareness and prevention is money well spent. And I think most people are aware of why personal hygiene is so important. Now we just need to help them understand why it's just as important for our boats, watercraft, and gear. Luckily, there are new tools that are making this a little bit easier if you've got the resources for it. And of course, as was mentioned earlier, this work isn't possible, solo. It's a team effort, and so appreciate all the help and support that we get from the various agencies and folks within the agencies and groups. So thank you to you guys. And if you want to reach out, feel free to contact me by phone or email. Want to chat about our experience or have other questions, I'd be happy to take a swing at those. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.